Welcome back to the third season of Storytime Day and Night. Now, I have been read there was an old lady who slaughtered a chick and read a pie already. And now it's time to read the third and final book, When Clay Sings. I just want to remind you that you can use clay, you can shape it whatever you need it. And I just cannot wait to read it to you. Let's get started. When Clay Sings by BYRD, illustrated by BAHTI. I love this book. There are desert hillsides where ancient Indian pottery still lies half buried in the sand, and lizards blink at other dusty lizards that were painted on those pots 1,000 years ago. Now, Indian children make a game of searching for bits of clay that were once somebody's bowl or mug or cooking pot or dipper. Their parents look at what they find and tell them, remember, treat it with respect. It is so old. They say that every piece of clay, it is a piece of someone's life. They even say it has its own small voice and sings in its own way. So the children touch the pieces carefully, as they kneel there in the hot, dry sand, listening for whatever voice a broken pot might use. A windy voice, a sandy voice, a voice like a far bird's cry. Sometimes, if they look long enough, and if they are lucky enough, they can fit 4 or 5 pieces together, the way you do a jigsaw puzzle. Then suddenly they see a perky, wide-eyed bird look up at them. Maybe the bowl with the bird was dropped by some other Indian child who was chased a rabbit near some rocks. Then. When they find a bowl that isn't broken, the children can pretend that they've just eaten from it, and that they're sitting by some campfire on a deerskin blanket, and it's then, not now, and they speak an older language. But they don't need words to know that they were spicklebugs and spider bugs and bugs with shiny wings and pinchy bugs and jumping bugs and bugs that had 1,000 legs. They liked to walk through grass. They know the molding of a lump of clay has always been a slow and gentle work. No hurrying, no rushing. Hands that shape the earth this way have time to know the cool touch of the sand. Women then must have spoken to the earth as they took its clay. They must have sung special songs for shaping the bowl, for polishing it, for baking it, so it would be strong enough to last long enough. That tribe was gone. After that tribe was gone. Once somebody's sitting on the ground outside a high, cold cliff house, thought I'd make this bowl as pretty as I can, and she painted it what she liked the most: stars and moon and sun and whirlwinds. Was the sun shining as she worked? Were her brown naked children were playing near? Was there a shiny skinny dog? Was the smell of cooking in the air? Did a man come back from hunting and shake his head? And on another day, did she paint the hunter too? Sometimes children may have said, but in that other language, Mama, make a bowl with pictures of big animals for me. Big fierce creatures that I'll hunt someday. So she drew mountain lions and wildcats and even a man wrestling a bear. Or is it a bear wrestling a man? The colors are bright. Reds as deep as sandstone cliffs, browns and tans the shade of desert earth, black and white shiny as stones polished by water in high mountain streams. There were 1,000 shapes to draw. There were 1,000 shapes to draw. Horned toads and lizards and butterflies, turtles, and beautiful leaping fish. And deer and mountain goats and antelope that flash across these canyons, always faster than the boys who knew their trails and followed them among the rocks. They even drew the scariest things they could think of. Called them monsters, called them night spirits, called them anything. Children make them up today and they still have the same scary look in their eyes. Many a child must have eaten rabbit stew for supper out of bowls and rabbits painted on them. Here's a hunter who used a fine long net for catching rabbits, but what rabbit couldn't jump through that hole in the dish? This child was sick and they called a medicine man to cure him. What magic is he using? What special chants and dances and whispered words and feathered wands may help a boy get well again? And did medicine made from dried roots and flowers and wild yellow grasses taste like pink medicine tastes now? Indians who find that this pottery today say that everything has its own spirit, even a broken pot. They say the clay remembers the hands that made it. Does it remember the cornfields too, and the summer rains, and the ceremonies that held life together? Here are masks and the costumes, and the great dancing figures. Here is the flute player bent low over his song. Songs have to be powerful enough to make rain fall and winds blow and seeds sprout in dark earth. Songs have to be powerful enough to keep warriors safe and lead the hunter to the deer and make summer always follow winter and hold the sun in its proper path across the sky and keep life moving on from tribe to tribe. They say that even now the wind sometimes finds one of those songs still in the clay and lifts it out and carries it down the canyon and across the hills. It is a small sound and always far away, but they say sometimes they hear it. The end. That was an amazing book, and I hope you're going to be recommended to your child with reading this one. When we come back, I'd like to recap all 3 books for today. That's next.